Welcome to episode 12 of the Matlock podcast. This is that moment.
In this week's episode, Madeline's memories of battling her daughter for custody of Alfie are brought to the surface as she helps Olympia contest a client's parental dispute with Julian. Sarah continues to review her entire personality following criticisms from Billy and her mentor Olympia, but Madeline's machinations start to come undone as her victims show their true character to one another.
Darling, at my age, I'm lucky to remember which president was responsible for my sexual awakening. Sometimes I think it was Kennedy, but I don't know. There was just something about LBJ.
Good evening, Ian. How's things?
They're not too bad, Gerry. How are you?
I shouldn't complain, but I will. I'm still 2 weeks in. Over 2 weeks, I'm still under the weather. I deserve a medal. I think everyone's thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Tell me more. They're saying.
Have you updated your will to be safe?
I should. Giving it all to
Put your affairs in order.
Leaving it all to myself.
As long as you can hang on for 6 more weeks till we get to the end of this.
Yeah. Do you have a particular politician that awakened your
sexuality?
Yeah.
Let me think. Margaret Thatcher? No.
Ooh, that would have been
Theresa? No.
a tough.
Nicola Sturgeon, maybe? No.
Let's just move on.
Some of the stuff between Madeline and Edwin in this episode I thought was good, but it did feature possibly the least convincing de-aging that I've seen on film for some time.
A little bit lazy. Sepia-type background, make their hair... We've seen them do the same sort of thing with Olympia and Julian. It was 5 years or 10 years in the past, give them a slightly different haircut.
Yeah, Edwin looks exactly the same weight and everything else. It's unlikely.
Yeah.
Before we get into things, social media, we are at Colombo Podcast on Blue Sky, on Twitter and on Facebook and on Instagram. We have show notes up at colombopodcast.com, and every episode is available 1 week early on our YouTube channel, Colombo Podcast Productions. In terms of reviews, we'd love to hear from you on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, IMDb, YouTube, wherever you get your podcast from. Leave your comments, leave your reviews. We really appreciate all of them.
I've got nothing else.
Okay, well, let's
crack on.
In this week's recap, we are reminded about the hidden documents, about Sarah and Billy's falling out, Madeline's conviction that her friendship with Olympia is an asset and not a liability, her manipulation of Olympia and Julian's divorce process, and Edwin's lie about not being able to find the email, which is where we kick off.
Yes, following on from Edwin's deceit last week, we see him awoken by an incensed Madeline telling him that she's found out about this email that he is keeping from her.
Not only that, the father is downstairs.
Ooh. However, as we could probably predict, it was all a dream, and in fact, she comforts him from this nightmare-induced panic, which he claims not to remember. But she's obviously concerned for...
I think more suspicious than concerned. I don't think she believes him.
You think?
But then why would she be concerned about what he's dreaming?
No, but I think, this disrupted sleep, there's obviously something that is bothering him, and perhaps she suspects it's to do with what they're doing, what she's driving.
His cover story is terrible. He says he's nervous because they're about to break the whole thing open before laying out a terrible theory.
What's that?
That the hidden document is a marketing document. Not only did Will Brexer know that opioids were addictive, they aggressively pushed them out into the world, and that's what went missing. And then Shay alerts Senior it's in discovery, Senior's out of the country, and calls Julie. This makes no sense.
No. Okay, so we should say this is now in the morning, the next morning.
Yeah. It makes no sense.
No. A marketing document, documents or marketing, it's by its very nature is sort of self-evident. It's not something that you hide.
Yes.
It's very overt.
And a hidden marketing document is nothing.
It's just something that hasn't been done. You can have a plan. We will push all these opioids. We will say this is why they're so good. Let's not do it. Let's put that document in the drawer.
That's not hiding anything. That's
and that's not illegal.
Not doing it, yeah.
You can write down what you want about what you intend to do. If you don't do it, then that's fine.
And how have they got to the stage where they've implemented this entire complex set of machinations, this whole plan, without really knowing what they're looking for? It's just a very vague, wishy-washy situation. It's insane.
In any case, what have they agreed? Yeah, you think you mentioned it there, that they brought in Julian, is that right? That's what they think they did. Yeah,
because Senior's in Australia, which they know from the photograph that they discovered previously.
And, they've got to place him at the scene of the crime, the document room, 14. I just think that this is all, whoever physically signed for her, doesn't.
And again, it's not going to prove anything yet. So they put Julian at the office when this document arrived. So what?
Yeah.
And we still don't know what the document is.
Yeah, because a person who signs for something isn't expected to have read and understood and be responsible for its contents. They're just saying, the amount of things that I sign for and receive.
Yes.
And I have no idea
you
what
gave me something, you didn't know what it was.
Don't know what it is. It could be a bomb.
It wasn't.
Okay. But it could have been, but I said, yeah, it's fine, I'll take that. It's not my responsibility.
No. The whole thing is getting a little bit weak, I think.
Anyway, she has a plan which involves her losing her purse.
Yes, because Edwin tries to tell her she's forgotten it, and she explains to him that is intentional. And we then find her in the Jacobson Moor security office talking to Lucius.
As we head at the top of the podcast.
We did a little bit.
She is impressed with the technology and asks if her activity can be tracked. And he demonstrates that this is so by scanning her pass and then printing off a list of her activities for the date in question.
Yes, and confirming that this system has been in place for 20 years, which is more than the 14 that she needs.
She looks down at the data and repeats that they have to trust the process and smiles while the title is shown on the screen. So yeah, what she's doing here is finding out that she can place whoever she wants, theoretically, at different locations at certain times.
It's not going to prove anything.
No, not at all.
Anyway, in Olympia's office, she is on the phone with somebody who cannot babysit for her.
She's very stressed.
She has an important dinner, but Julian won't switch nights for the kids.
And Sarah, and I think this was nice, we see that Sarah is now sort of copying the style, certainly the hair. Her hair's down. Normally Sarah's hair's back in a ponytail or whatever. Yeah. She's got it down to mimic her mentor, and she's offering to help with the babysitting, but Olympia reminds her of the 18-inch personal space zone that they've apparently agreed upon, before pointing out that thinking that she would make a great mac and cheese is not how these things work.
No. And also that the mentorship is not about babysitting.
No. It could easily, and maybe it does go too far into the sort of comic, but I do like this new dynamic, this new relationship between the pair. You do have to have elements of a more light-hearted nature.
Yeah. It maybe would be better if they showed a bit more of the positive side of the mentorship, though, because it seems to all be the silly stuff.
Yeah.
In this episode, at least.
Of course. She's also puzzled and concerned about Sarah's belief that winning a class action is how they will win the race to partner.
Yes. And before they even get to this class action, there is another matter that Olympia wants to deal with first.
What's that?
It's a custody case that maybe could resolve today.
Yeah, it involves Paloma de Leon against her ex, who is refusing to pay child support. Sarah responds that she's excited to settle and then at that point pivot to the bigger picture, but has to be told that it's not a follow situation when Olympia spots Julian and goes after him.
Yes.
So she's basically just being her shadow now.
Yes. Out in the corridor, Julian continues to refuse to swap nights because he thinks she's going to use it to meet potential clients and edge him out of the partner race.
Yes, this is interesting. Well, firstly, we should also say that we're shown again that them using their passes, again highlighting this audit trail, I suppose.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting one here. Julian has probably got a point. They are in a competition.
Yeah.
Why should he help her if it's been agreed that we've got certain visitation or custody agreements in place?
Contact.
Yeah, so it's not like she's got an emergency. She wants to go and do something that's going to potentially be advantageous against him.
Potentially.
So she'll have to cancel that. That's fine. It's not like an emergency where the kids have to be picked up.
No. Yeah, even though she tries to suggest that he's the one bringing their kids into the dispute.
No, it's not. You've got a situation here. I'm not going to help you. You can easily, the kids won't suffer. You just have to cancel your dinner.
Show up. Yeah. Anyway, ultimately, she tells him that if he is serious about competing to become the partner, he has to stop playing games and get in the ring.
I think that, like a real lawyer, I think that stings.
Yeah.
It's almost like she's been doing the sort of she's been in the field and he's been doing more of the sort of strategy work in the background.
Yeah, but she's also spending a lot of her time on work that we know Senior doesn't value. Anyway.
In the U3 office, Billy enters to find Sarah measuring her feet in order to make sure she gives Olympia the required distance. But he does not respond to her now more sort of perky attitude, or even when she apologises and gives him a bottle of his favourite cologne as a peace offering.
He does say that things are fine, he just doesn't want to be our friend.
So they're not fine then. That's not fine.
He's able to be professional.
Just about.
Madeline comes in and refers to them as you two, which Billy objects to on this occasion.
Before Sarah apologises to Madeline and says that she and her mentor are working on her interpersonal skills.
Okay.
I think, again, Sarah's learning here that perhaps there are elements of her personality that she has to work upon, but I do feel...
She's being manipulated, though.
She is, yes. The treatment of Sarah over the last couple of episodes has been appalling, and Billy, as we'd always said, was the sort of the nice, good guy throughout the show, and even although he is justified in being annoyed, how he's treating Sarah now, I think he's just being a bit of a dick.
I think we can see it from both their perspectives. But Madeline's the one who's the bad guy.
Yes,
she's the one that's
created this,
moving the pieces around, and
yeah,
because these guys wouldn't have fallen out if she hadn't done what she did.
Exactly.
Anyway, Sarah explains about the child support case.
Yes, before they look at the class action, which Olympia discovered while volunteering on immigration work, and then realises that she probably has to get involved in that too.
Oh, that might impress her mentor.
I'm sure. So, as they walk to the meeting room, Olympia brings Madeline up to speed.
For the past year, Palom's been stuck in nasty post-divorce disputes.
Mostly custodial over their son, Chinoch. Side note, it is an honor to be finishing each other's sentences.
Paloma maintains primary physical custody while her Moneybag's ex-husband, Bruno, maintains visitation rights.
But where the money bags come from?
Overseas business. We just found out he's been sheltering money in an offshore account.
Which is why today we're reopening the child support agreement.
Never ceases to amaze me when men think we won't find out about.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Good thing there's always a paper trail. Some lead to Swiss bank accounts. My late husband's led to a casino on a cruise ship. And believe you me, he took full advantage of the all-you-can-eat. And I don't mean the food.
Well, this is less scandalous. It's about money on the surface.
Under the surface?
It's all about custody. So, highest stakes for everyone. All emotion, no logic. Any experience with custody cases?
That was an entirely inappropriate thing for Madeline to say.
Yep.
In a professional environment.
Yeah. But she's always, it's not the first time.
Yeah. So, when Olympia asks about this custody case experience, Madeline has a flashback.
To a courtroom. We see her, she gets into a bit of a daze. She's on the stand where Edwin and Ellie watch as she sadly asks for custody of Alfie due to her daughter being an addict, incapable of looking after him.
Yeah.
But when she returns to real life, she simply informs them that, no, she has no experience in such matters, and then asks to be allowed to call back Alfie, who she says has texted her.
We assume that's true, although you can never be certain with Madeline.
I always assume that she's lying.
Yeah.
It's the safest thing.
Yeah, for certain. Olympia is hoping that the case can be shut down now before it goes to court.
So we're in the meeting room where she threatens Bruno Cortez with filing to revoke his business and driver's license, as well as his American and Spanish passports.
He's not pleased about this.
No. He sneers that she can't do this, but when she takes this as a challenge, he orders his lawyer to do something.
Olympia points out that even though he claims to have had a change in circumstances, they know about his Swiss bank accounts.
This infuriates him, and he retaliates by insisting that he's not giving his ex a dime, and also threatens to prevent her from seeing her sick father in Mexico.
He then tells his lawyer in Spanish to get his act together before leaving the room.
Yes, he leaves and we see he's got a new model, or a newer model on his arm, and he is followed by his lawyer and cries of "See you in court" from Olympia.
We see a sort of furtive-looking Julian observing all of this.
Well, I've noted here, yeah, and obviously deviously opportunistic Julian.
Dastardly is the word that I've written.
Yes. In the elevator.
Yes, Olympia joins Elijah for a chat, but is unfortunately immediately joined by a very clingy Sarah.
Yeah, well, I mean, she seems to be continuing her pursuit of her ex that she unceremoniously, callously ditched without a conversation.
Yeah, well, that was her prerogative, and now it's her prerogative to, I don't know, she sees things very much from her own position sometimes.
She certainly does, yes. And she has to specifically tell Sarah that she is overstepping the mark, but is not up for setting up subtle but clear signals when she wants personal time with someone.
This, but I'd quite like Sarah asking or stating that she didn't realise there was anything personal between Olympia and Elijah.
Yeah.
Which also suggests that Sarah's not very good at reading social signals.
Yeah. However, she is more relaxed, Olympia that is, when she sits in front of the judge with Paloma and suggests to her client that they have it. Cortez might not even show up.
However, when he does, he comes with a new addition.
Yeah, that overconfidence has been very much misplaced, and her jaw drops when the new counsel walks in. Who is it?
It's Julian.
Whoa, did we see that coming?
Yes.
Yes, we did, yeah.
It was
did
also
she see it coming?
in the blurb from last week's episode, but yes.
Okay.
No, I don't think Olympia anticipated this, and this leads to an exchange of barbs in front of the judge, who cautions the two of them.
Yes, he is swallowing Tums, obviously not in a great state, while listening to the pair squabble about motives or Julian's motives for taking the case.
The judge realises that the two of them used to be married and wants to conflict them both out. However, he does not have the power to do that.
No, as Olympia should probably have known. He's not interested in their personal drama and points out that it's up to the client to choose who represents them.
Julian is certain that his client will be fine with the conflict, but does not know about Olympia's.
No, it's up to Olympia too. If her client isn't happy with that, then Olympia would have to step aside.
Well, that's it. And out in the corridor, we're introduced to a new character.
A not unappealing character, certainly. Physically.
Okay. Sarah joins in the same sort of thing that I just said about Olympia, where she sees things very much from a Sarah-centred perspective. So she sees this woman, Simone Delgado, who is now working for Julian in a similar role to Sarah and Billy's role for Olympia, and notes that she has been her nemesis since law school and has been hired by Julian to get specifically under Sarah's skin.
Now, why would Julian do that? That's they're not even on his radar.
No, exactly. And as Billy points out, that's definitely not what has happened.
Yeah.
And also he says that Simone is not staring at Sarah.
Also, you hear this quite a lot, I wouldn't, there's two things, my nemesis, and people say things like, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Who has enemies, and worst enemies, and nemesis? There's people who I don't like, people I think are arses.
Yeah.
And you just don't get involved with them, or you spend as much, or as little time with them as possible if you have to.
Yeah.
But I can honestly say, I don't think I've got an enemy, a nemesis.
No. I'm not sure that anyone I know has an enemy.
You'd have to be really, what are you getting up to create that level of hatred towards you?
Enmity, yes. I don't know. Yeah, that would be a certain circumstance, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Very specific. Although I suppose maybe in a more competitive environment.
It's a rival, isn't it? It's not a nemesis or an enemy. Anyhow, Billy has no inclination to get involved, but is quite charmed by Simone when she walks over and the two women exchange barely contained fake niceties. And Sarah's quite irked, I think, by Billy complimenting
he uses information that he got from Sarah moments earlier about Simone having clerked at the Supreme Court to compliment Simone, which really bothers Sarah.
Yeah, so there's a bit of tension there, and before she walks off, there's a little bit of bitchiness, isn't there, or a bit of nastiness here.
Yeah, someone leans in to Sarah and says, girl to girl, you've got bad breath, get some mints.
But before Sarah can vent in response, Olympia comes out and announces that firewalls have been set up, waivers have been agreed, and they've got to get ready for Kramer versus Kramer. A reference, obviously, that Sarah, being so young, doesn't get.
Yeah, but Billy did.
Kramer versus Godzilla.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So, we're in the courtroom. The case begins, and Julian wins round one when the judge ignores certain accounts that had not previously been revealed, apparently due to complex tax advice, but warns that there will be consequences the next time.
Well, he doesn't ignore the accounts. He accepts the explanation, but he says they're going to be adjusted. The payments are going to be adjusted according to Dissomaster, which is a calculation metric that the courts use to work out parental or spousal support. So these accounts are being taken into account, but there's been no penalty for having not disclosed them.
Which I think, again, would be seen as a victory for...
Yeah, certainly it's a victory, but yeah.
However, this is not enough for Julian, who proceeds to claim there is a bigger issue and describes how Paloma has apparently been driving a wedge between their son and Cortez. This sounds a bit odd.
Yeah, he calls it parental alienation and moves for full custody of the child.
Yeah, so but how's he been doing this apparently?
Oh, she bought an Xbox.
Well, okay, so there was the Xbox and the bad...
Screen time, I think, as well.
Bad mouthing I can understand, yeah.
Yeah.
So talking about the other parent and saying how the... But yeah, he says that Paloma bought him an Xbox, which meant he never wanted to go back to the father. We're led to believe that this guy's got Swiss bank accounts.
Yeah, so he could buy an Xbox if he wanted to.
Yeah. That's not the reason.
Yes, and obviously we're going to hear later on that the counter position is that he's overly strict, and that would be a reason for him not to have got an Xbox.
Mm-hmm. He also accuses her of Paloma of telling the boy of an affair. And when the judge asks about this, Paloma stutters that, oh, well, he may have overheard something, but then the pair start arguing again.
Yes, the judge decides to schedule a hearing for next week, but wants an earlier Lincoln hearing where the child speaks to a specialist.
Well, yeah, because Julian here, he really ups the ante. He requests full custody on grounds of parental alienation. And despite a plea from Olympia, as you say, the judge sets up a hearing for the following week. But I think he also wants to hear from the kid.
Yeah, this is this Lincoln hearing that I'm saying, so that'll happen almost immediately.
Okay, so back in Olympia's office, the shell-shocked team try to regroup and plan a line of attack.
They're going to question Tenoch. He's a child. Why would his parents put him through that?
Palama's just fighting back.
I know, but no one will win.
Then it's up to us to mitigate the damage, which means we need to dig up any dirt we possibly can against Bruno.
Here's what we got from Paloma. Bruno keeps Tenoch on a tight leash when Tenoch stays with him. He doesn't allow him to call or text his mom.
Now, there's some alienation we can build on.
He also looks down on Paloma's family in Mexico. Tell them that part too, Billy.
He prevents Tenoch from having any relationship with them, and Paloma's father is very sick.
Now, all this comes from Paloma. Makes it a little bit fruit of the poisoned marital tree.
Billy has an angle. Super smart. You're going to be impressed.
Bruno's behavior fits a pattern of authoritarian parenting that could cause a lot of emotional damage.
We got an objective third party to testify on this?
Not an expert, but we could use Tenoch's soccer coach. Apparently, Bruno's temper comes out at games, so the coach banned him from attending.
We're hoping there was some kind of physical altercation between them, preferably one with blood spilled.
Go talk to the coach.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maddie, wait. What do you think this means?
Oh, my.
I'm shocked. I don't know what to say or how to respond.
You could always go with a question mark.
Hey, Sarah, big mentor advice coming at you.
Ready for it, ma'am.
From now on, when you want to speak, stop, count to 5, then decide if it's appropriate or not. When in doubt, go with 9. Got it.
What they're reacting to there was a text to Olympia from Elijah telling her that he can't stop thinking about her. And I immediately took the note, hopefully sent to the wrong person.
Yes, but maybe deliberately. I wonder if he's winding her up.
No, I don't think so. I think he just...
So you can then say, oh, I sent it to the wrong person when she responds to it. But yeah, I don't think that's really his style.
No.
He seems to have moved forward.
Yes.
So, yes, I think it's a complete accident.
Mm-hmm.
At the school where Tenoch attends, Sarah and Billy are waiting to speak to the soccer coach. And she asks him if everybody takes a beat before speaking, like Olympia suggested.
Doesn't like his answer.
No, he says that everyone except for her does.
She takes and offers a mint, which is declined, and he continues to act like the dick when she shifts her chair nearer to him. So again, he's just been deliberately...
Well, he's clearly hurt by what she did in the previous episode, and he's taking a wee bit longer to go over it than he maybe should. But
maybe.
she was really mean to him.
Yeah, but for good reason.
She says that she wants to present a united front, that's why she's sidled up to him, but they're both then shocked.
Yes, as they are met by Simone, who is there to tell the coach that he is being sued by Cortez for assault and defamation, and he will therefore not to be speaking to anyone else from Jacobson Moore. Quite a nice strategic move there, I think.
Yeah, always getting there first. That's the important thing there.
Yeah.
Back in the office, Olympia urges Madeline to stay with her as they observe this Lincoln hearing with Tenoch.
Yeah, so the kid's in with like a social worker or a child psychologist or whatever. They're in a viewing room. And Olympia, as they're doing this, accuses Julian of playing dirty with the coach business, which he does not deny. I think he shows. Just all's fair and...
That's how you do it.
Yeah. Now, with Maddie sitting between them, they watch as this facilitator asks the boy about the Xbox and the coach. How does he respond?
Well, first of all, he says he doesn't want to get his mother into trouble. Then he doesn't like that his dad doesn't have an Xbox, but there was an issue between his dad and Coach Reyes when Daddy got mad, and it was scary. They argued.
Yeah, they started fighting.
Yes.
This causes another flashback for Madeline. Back onto the stand, telling the court that drugs make Ellie very scary. A complete contrast to who she is when she's clean.
Yeah, she talks about Alfie being born addicted to opioids and the withdrawal that she had to watch him go through.
Yeah, we see, this was nice, this was interesting. I think getting more of this sort of the backstory, the hurt and the pain that the Madeline and the Kingston family have went through. So we see Ellie saying, look, I'm clean now, I can look after him, but she's saying, do you know what? You said that before, your fake test, users are devious creatures.
Yeah.
I just can't, I've lost all trust in you. And it must be a terrible, heartbreaking thing to have to tell your own kid.
And it completely changes our understanding of this scenario where we thought Alfie had come to stay with them because Ellie had died. Yeah. Whereas it's actually been something proactive that Madeline in particular has pushed to take him from Ellie.
Yeah. And did you mention that? Yeah, but that's disturbing image of, she talks about Alfie being born
in the seizures and his withdrawal, and he wasn't allowed to hold him.
72 days he went through these terrible, it's like some from Trainspotting, without the tomato soup
crawling on the roof and stuff.
The porn mags.
Well, we don't know. Yeah. She could have been doing anything while she was waiting on him. Anyway, Ellie begs her to stop and pleads to Edwin, who's sitting almost, I'm not sure what the best phrase is, but he's sitting there, he's obviously with Madeline, he's supporting her in the case, but he doesn't seem as hard line as she does in the views that she's expressing. No,
I think he's just in shock. He's just completely devastated by what's happening to his family here. But we also hear about an injury that occurred, I suppose, to support Madeline's... but it's not just theoretical.
Yeah, because Ellie's solicitor has claimed that she's been clean for 3 months. And Madeline's saying, well, Alfie was burned by steam or something a month ago. Yeah,
negligence, and on the kettle or whatever.
Presumably she was
not looking after him.
Using at that point, yeah.
Yeah.
We go back to the Kingston mansion.
Yeah, quite a sharp cut here. Neither of them can sleep, and Madeline admits that watching the kid earlier brought back a lot of these memories about their own case.
Edwin wants her out of all this and asks whether she has a plan for snagging Julian's keycard.
Yeah, no, but also I think we need to emphasise or mention here, when she talks about this, he is extraordinarily agitated and he can't mentally go back there. So she's talking about what's happened. Yeah, I'm not thinking about this, like, let's move forward. I can't deal with this.
We're going to find out later exactly why that is as well.
And anyway, so she says, of course, she's got an idea how to get this.
A nice and clean plan, which is immediately contradicted by the plan that we see being put into effect in the office.
Yeah, the next day, we see her collide with Julian, causing his coffee to go all over his shirt and his jacket. And while he takes this coat off, what does she do?
She switches her keycard for his. It reminded me of the scene from the previous flashback with Olympia in her white suit. Madeline makes a weird fuss, talks to him about how she respects him, and
he's in a foul mood. He snatches back his coat and walks off.
Yeah.
And at this point, she messages Edwin to let him know that the mission was successful.
Yeah. In Olympia's office, a coffee-stained Julian comes in to tell her that she has a big problem.
What's that?
Paloma has been stopped at the airport trying to take Tenoch to Mexico.
That is a big problem. I mean, rights or wrongs, doesn't matter who you believe. These are the rules. You can't be kidnapped. This is effectively classed as kidnapping.
Yeah. He's setting up a hearing to try and get full custody for Brie. He's already wanting that, but it's now an emergency hearing.
I mean, she tries to play it down. It's not kidnapping. But she is clearly concerned about this emergency meeting. That
she understands how the court's going to view this.
Yeah, and it's certainly going to be in Cortez's favour.
You would think. A bit later, Paloma's come into the office and talks to Madeline and admits that she is messed up.
Yeah, but says that she was taking the boy to see her dying father and didn't think that she had to say anything as it was going to be during her custody days. I mean,
don't believe her.
No, not at all.
What she had to do here was tell Olympia and get Olympia to go to the court for approval or permission to do this.
Yep. Olympia enters to let her know that a social worker will be staying with the boy and that the emergency meeting is scheduled for 2 p.m. later that day.
Paloma's very concerned at the possibility of Tenoch being with a stranger.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see, I think Tenoch might be on the spectrum or something along those lines.
Sure.
Implied heavily in this episode. Madeline points out that these cases where the minor's safety is concerned tend to go very fast.
Now, Madeline then wonders how Cortez knew that she had taken him to the airport, as she didn't tell anyone. And Olympia asks if they have any tracking on their devices.
She's not aware of any unless her accounts have been hacked.
Or she's being watched.
Yes, so Olympia is going to send Billy and Sarah to check on this, and in the meantime, she needs Paloma to stay calm, show up to court, and appear to be stable.
And also to surrender her passport.
Yes. Paloma wants assurances from Olympia that the court will not remove Tenoch from her, but
No, can't give her
that. No,
it's not up to Olympia. So we're at her house, the exterior. Sarah and Billy come out with sweeping devices and are apparently qualified to determine that there are no bugs. I'm not sure if you would use those.
Strange.
Yeah,
Why would they not have said that while they were still in the room?
What?
There's no bugs here. So they do the scan, they don't say anything to each other, they come outside and they say, oh, there was no bugs.
Because they would have to have another set.
It just doesn't, it's not a natural way to speak or behave.
It's saving tech. You're doing it outside rather than creating a new set for that room.
Yeah, okay. Sarah's upset.
Yeah, she's lost her mints.
Well, she thinks they've been taken.
Yeah, she believes Simone must be behind it. And this paranoia finally makes Billy flip. What does he do?
Yeah, he asks her whether she's serious, and when she says that Simone is toxic, he says that first you thought it was me that was toxic or somebody else that was toxic, but everyone knows it's you that's the toxic one. That's harsh.
I have noted here, spiteful wee dick.
I mean, he's just being emotional, but it's unfair.
Look, he's now doing what she done. He's not thinking about the impact of what he is saying.
Yeah, he's lashing out, and he's got no real reason to.
No, she's admitted she was wrong. She's tried to make amends. At the very least, just say, listen, that's it. But he's pushing it further now, further than what is required. This clearly hurts Sarah. But before she can fully take it in, they are interrupted by Moira. Who's she?
She's a neighbour of Paloma's and the head of the neighbourhood watch.
An old gossip. An old Mrs. Mango.
This gets Sarah going again. She says that neighbourhood watches are ultimately a bastion for white supremacy.
Yeah.
Billy then chastises her for not thinking before speaking.
I've got to agree. The type of people that are involved in that tend to be busybodies and don't like people who are different. And if there's anyone who weren't of the same demographic, they'd be more suspicious. I think it's just,
I think there's certain communities where you just have a sort of community spirit and folk look out for each other, and there's certain communities where you have to call it a neighbourhood watch and do things in a certain way, and it's a bit different.
And without wanting to get sort of too downbeat about it, but there's been plenty of cases in America where they've got guns and they go about shooting and killing. There's high-profile cases of kids being killed because they
knocked the wrong door or parked in the wrong drive or whatever.
And use it as an excuse because they were Mexican or whatever it is, or not white, just to murder them and say, well, you shouldn't have been on my...
Sounds like woke nonsense there, Gerry. Back in the office, Madeline is shocked to see Paloma trying to leave with Tenoch.
Yeah, she claims that she just wants to be with him and is going to the courthouse early, but in a panic admits she is worried that he'll be taken away, which triggers another flashback for Madeline.
Please don't take him away, Mom. You're going to destroy our relationship.
Drugs are destroying your relationship.
I'm clean.
3 months?
1. Ever since the burn. But Mom, I promise. You've scared me enough. I'm done. I'm going to meetings.
Great. When you put together a year...
You can test me every single day.
You can have supervised visitation every single day.
you at least give him Miss Lovey?
You keep it for when Alfie comes back to live with you. It'll happen. It works if you work it.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Oh, there you are. You need to leave the child with me.
Where are you going? Paloma!
Ma'am, surrender the child.
Wait! Paloma! Wait! Please! Please! No! You don't want to do this!
I won't let them take him from me.
So we start with the flashback. I think we can tell from what we see here that Madeline has tried other approaches first, and this is a last resort for her.
Yeah.
Because you can see there is sympathy for Ellie, and she does want her to get better, but she doesn't believe that she will.
Yeah, she's doing what she knows is right for the child.
Back in the present, what we're seeing or hearing there is Paloma barricading herself. Well, that's a debatable term. Certainly closing herself in an office and locking the door from the inside.
At the court, the judge demands to know where Olympia's client is, just as she and the you two get a message explaining what is happening, and she tells the pair to get right over there.
She asks the court for 20 minutes and is told that she has 30, but at that point there will be a ruling.
With or without her client.
Indeed. And Julian's phone buzzes now, and he sends Simone back to the office to find out what's going on.
And he shows Cortez the message and turns to Olympia with it's almost a sneering, disapproving look at her.
Yeah.
So, Paloma is on the floor with the kid who is holding his head and rocking back and forth, which upsets Madeline, who wants to know what can calm him down.
She's told that his binder full of soccer cards is the best thing, and Madeline texts the group chat asking whether someone can go and get it.
Sarah does so. A stressed Billy is joined by Simone in the elevator and tries to play down the barricade situation, but she is clear that is exactly what is happening. And then he notices something.
Mints.
Yeah, in her bag, before they arrive at this barricade, where Lucius is shouting for Paloma to get out as she hugs the boy with tears running down her face. The security is a bit heavy-handed here. There's no weapons. There's no suggestion that there's any violence or anyone's under threat. This whole thing could be de-escalated.
Are we assuming someone's told him to do this? It's none of his business. He's the security for the building.
Yeah, but I suppose if there's someone in there that's not meant to be and is refusing to leave.
But he's talking about hand over the child. That's not his jurisdiction.
No, he's, especially in America, I'd imagine, do not be touching these kids. You just got yourself in a whole lot of legal trouble if anything goes wrong here. All that's happening here is Paloma will be getting herself into trouble in terms of the court case.
Yeah.
She can sit there as long as she wants. It's not a major deal.
I think we're kind of moving back and forward between the court where Julian and Olympia are arguing in front of the judge and this situation where Madeline is urging restraint and telling Paloma that she needs to show up.
We hear that Billy telling Lucius not to call the cops as there is a scared kid inside, but Simone insists that he should, while Madeline begs her not to make a bad life-changing decision. I think that's a bit late, to be fair, once you started doing this. But as you say, yeah, they need to show up in court. This again triggers a flashback where we see Ellie not appearing in court herself and Madeline and Edwin winning the custody in her absence. And I suppose it's a bittersweet, hollow victory. And I think, as we've discussed before, probably a portent of what may be to come.
Back in the present, a distressed Madeline obliquely refers to one moment in her life she'd take back and tells Paloma this is her moment.
Yes, with a nod to the title. And she needs to open the door and get to court.
Back at Paloma's house, Sarah and Moira square off once again.
Yeah, we see Sarah leave with these football cards, and the nosy neighbour snidely asks if she is there to give her a copy of White Fragility, as she already owns it.
Sarah, though, suspects something is amiss.
Well, she takes on board Firstly, Olympia's advice.
She counts to 5.
Counts to 5, doesn't react, and goes to walk off until Moira spots the football cards. And I don't think it's Sarah thinking something's amiss. I think it's her now trying to behave personably. So she goes over to talk about her flowers that she's tending. And while there, what does she spot?
There's a hidden camera in the flowers,
Pointing at Paloma's front door. And so, under threat of subpoena, Moira agrees to talk.
Back in court, Olympia receives Sarah's report.
Yeah, but the good news of this spying is quickly undermined when she and Julian get into a full-blown argument about invasion of privacy, and she brings up the spy pen, which he obviously knows nothing about.
Yes. He also brings up the barricade situation in the office, and the judge is so fed up with the two of them that he holds them both in contempt of court.
Another My Cousin Vinny nod, I think. Again, I'm going to say you need to watch it anyhow. And in a less than ideal situation for their clients, they find themselves sitting side by side in a cell, continuing to argue.
You know, this
I
is
can't
really
believe you.
me. Oh, you're gonna put this on me.
If you hadn't pointed out the
called me
conflict of interest,
vindictive.
we wouldn't
You
be
said this
here.
was personal. What the hell are we doing?
Look at us. We're just as bad as Paloma and Bruno.
Oh, I know. And to end up here as a mother.
I know.
It must have been tough. Watching Bruno in there fight so hard for his son. The way your dad should have.
I don't want to fight.
Me neither. But so much ugly stuff has happened.
Can we put it behind us? Start fresh? Whatever you need from my finances.
I don't want your finances. I just want honesty. From this point forward?
Done. So, no more looking back?
Two things from that we need to talk about.
Yeah.
Firstly is the reference to Senior and how he treated or mistreated.
Didn't fight for Julian when he got divorced from his mother, I presume.
Obviously that's something a very personal and...
Well, we've heard about their, quotes, weird-ass relationship previously, so obviously this is part of it.
a coldness, isn't it?
No, I think Senior is a man who values his business over his family, maybe.
Yeah.
And that might be something we see playing out later on.
Sure. But secondly, I think what's happening here is with them almost reconciling or deciding to work together, that's putting a real spanner in Madeline's...
Yeah, her plan's unravelling here because she hasn't taken account of the fact that these people know each other and they've known each other for a long time and they are willing to speak honestly to one another, and that goes further than her machinations, than her interventions.
Of course. Back in court, Madeline arrives with Paloma to find the place empty and then hears what has happened from the judge, who orders that Frick and Frack are returned with a warning to sort it out within the hour.
Easier said than done, although not in this case.
No. Back in the kids, the kid psychologist room.
Well, no, I think what my take here was that we were in the conference room and Paloma and Bruno are watching footage of this interview with Taylor.
Yes.
So I don't think it's live. I think this is recorded.
Doesn't matter.
And it doesn't matter either way, but we see him talking about his soccer cards, but saying that he wants his parents to stop fighting, and if it's his fault, he'll do something different, which will obviously melt both of their hearts immediately.
Obviously. Olympia turns to them and offers advice from her father.
Which it doesn't make sense, but we'll go with it.
What did she say?
She says you can choose to be right or choose to be happy.
You can choose to be both.
Quite often you can be both.
In fact, most of the times, if you do something that's right, it should make you happy.
Yes. But in this occasion, I think what she's trying to say is it's more important to be happy than to be right. So if the two things do conflict, you should choose happiness.
Yeah, and I think maybe I think winning is more appropriate than right. So both parties could win, but you
don't need to fight your case. You don't need to be you don't need to defeat somebody. And it's quite often the case commercially as well. If you're negotiating something, finding something that everyone can consider to be a win is more important than beating down somebody, because that can sometimes lead to negative consequences in the future. That was really long and rubbish. Yeah.
I might keep it in, I might cut it. Julian tells them to choose their kid, I think again with his relationship fresh in his mind with his father, and move forward. And then both he and Olympia place a apparently fair settlement in front of their respective clients. And
this is a really unfair situation for both of these two clients. They should be having separate meetings with their own lawyer who explains to them why this is a fair settlement. I understand that they want them to see one another and for the two of them to both make the same decision, but they should have had an opportunity to discuss this with their own lawyer.
Because they both just signed without looking at it.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it wouldn't happen.
No. Especially for Bruno.
Yeah.
Who's been hiding money in the Caymans and places like that.
Meanwhile, in the U3 office, Billy extends something of an olive branch by admitting that Simone did steal Sarah's mints. Now, I've been having a go at Billy. However, what I would say here is that nothing's been proven at all. Plenty of people carry mints.
She admits it later on, though.
Yeah, but at this point, he doesn't know that. Just because you see someone with mints, you've also got mint, you've also got some gum in your bag. Yeah, like 90% of people around the... I don't know. I wouldn't be... It's not the type of thing that's standing up in court, that.
Yeah. Even if it's not the case, I think he's quite happy to use the opportunity to mend the relationship at this point, because he's realised that he's maybe been taking it a bit too far.
But she has been so gaslit by him that she decides that she was, in fact, the toxic personality, and she doesn't care about being right and only wants to make it up to him. I mean, this is just the breakdown of Sarah.
To sell this as growth, but it's not. She's been undermined and belittled.
She's been broken down here.
Mm-hmm. It's horrible to watch this, I think.
He apologises and says that he was hurt, that's understandable, and that she's not toxic, but she doesn't mind, and tells him that he is her mentor or muse with respect to how to be how to be a better person. And again, it's almost like you're showing me how to be a human. It's such a, I don't know.
It's not
controlling.
Good.
If this was a relationship, it would be really unnerving. If they were a partnership, if they were a couple, you would think, it's not a healthy dynamic.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. But he offers to start over, and she gladly agrees and hugs him before he allows her the opportunity to vent about Simone.
Yes, she does, by snarling that she knew she had it in for her and that she is the bitch's worst nightmare, to which Billy laughs and they high-five. But they have to quickly compose themselves when a bemused Olympia enters and Sarah is pleased to receive praise for her work with Moira.
Yes. Out in the corridor, Olympia chases Elijah down and finds out, as you predicted, that the text was not meant for her.
She has to pretend that, of course, I knew this. I was just wanting to let you know that you sent it to the wrong person. Well, I think she goes all David Brent, actually.
A little bit. And she also, at various points in this episode, refers to it as his hang, which really annoyed me.
Well,
they're too old for that kind of language.
Of course they are, yeah. Hang. We've discussed this before. It's just...
at least with Kira and Sarah, they're young.
Even then, it's not acceptable.
No, it's not. But it's less acceptable for Elijah and Olympia to be using it.
My hang. My what?
Get lost.
You mean my partner, my girlfriend? Yeah.
My date. Whatever.
Anyway.
Back in the U3 office, Simone has shown up to manipulate Billy.
Yeah, well, firstly, she playfully accuses Billy of ratting her out, but defends her position by stating that Sarah was a beast to her in law school.
She also notes that Billy was doing the same thing and antagonising Sarah by cozying up to Simone earlier on.
Which he admits, but says that they have now worked things out. And she's happy to start things over, but wants him to agree that it was a barricade situation.
He won't agree to that, and she suggests continuing the discussion over a drink unless his work wife wouldn't like it. Well, for start, no, she wouldn't like it for good reason, and he should therefore say no.
This could be a very interesting triangulation of personalities going forward, I think, here. I mean, Billy has to play this one right.
Yeah, the right way to play it is to say, no, I don't want to go on a date with you because Sarah's my friend and you've upset her. And that's the end of it. But it won't be. I don't think that's what
she's really quite hot. And he's on the hunt for a woman, as we know.
And obviously probably still, and it probably plays into the other stuff as well, he's probably still hurting a bit from what Claudia did.
And also not really mentioned, but I think it's probably quite good that Sarah's gay, because there's not that sort of will they, won't they with they two down the line. We know that that's not on the cards.
We then get another it's not even a flashback from Madeline. We just get to see what happened at the end of her case, and it's pretty heartbreaking.
Yeah, okay, so she's in the kitchen that night and she burns herself. I mean, how many times would you burn yourself? Like, I'm not sure. Anyway.
It's very coincidental, isn't it?
Yeah, so she burns herself on her kettle.
So it's kind of a flashback.
Yeah, and it triggers this flashback to them receiving the young Alfie in the court as Edwin receives a call from a number that he doesn't recognise.
An impatient Madeline asks what Ellie's up to now, where she's gone, what's happened. They said because she hadn't showed up in court.
Yeah.
So they're assuming she's gone off and got high somewhere.
But we find out that this is the moment that they get the devastating news of her death.
Yes, caused by the stress of this case. The flashback then skips ahead to the day of the funeral.
Yeah, just after I'd imagine the burial or whatever.
Yes, where Edwin first tells Madeline about the email from this guy, Joey,
who said he was a close friend and wanted to talk. But he hasn't responded as he wanted to talk to Madeline first in case it was Alfie's father.
We then come back to the future or the present, and in an echo of the dream that opened the episode, Madeline has now found this email that Edwin told her was no longer accessible.
Yeah, he again echoes the opening by claiming that he needed more time to think. And we flash back again to Madeline telling him that they can't respond to Joey as he will be an addict. And we know that addicts bring chaos into lives.
We then get a present day argument almost where Madeline says that he's accusing her of not giving him time to think, and he says that is the case because quite often when she is made up or has made up her mind on something, she's like a bull in a china shop.
And then reminds her of what they had previously agreed. They can't go through another custody battle.
But he goes further than that, saying he didn't want to go through the last one, which causes her to ask him whether he blames her for Ellie's death. And we flash back, I think, to him saying no in the past.
But now he can't quite say it and thinks that if they pushed for custody, so he's almost, he doesn't want to say I blame you. And again, it's interesting it's a real life emotion. You're not necessarily blaming or thinking that person was wrong, but people do have responsibilities, and you may well think, well, do you know what? Yeah, I don't hate you for it.
But sometimes I feel that. And I don't know if Madeline's asking this because she blames herself.
I think so, yeah.
Or if she's going to be upset with Edwin over this. I don't know. But
well, she angrily asks why he is referring to we when it was her who drove the custody battle, and then asks outright if he blames her.
And he says sometimes.
Which again is a nice, natural, genuine, heartfelt, but
it's played as kind of a cliffhanger, dramatic ending because we now get the credits and we're done.
Yeah. So, yeah, a very interesting episode, I thought. Lots of stuff going on, new revelations, a bit of development and backstory.
I thought it was interesting that the episode made a big play on the choice between being right and being happy, and I wonder if that's what Madeline's going to have to decide.
Well, yeah, so I alluded
to
that.
I hope it is, because I think that's where we're leading to, and I really hope it doesn't end up with just her finding out who did it and they go to jail.
Yeah. We were talking earlier in the week there about season 2, which has been confirmed, and how it doesn't matter if she's right or wrong, and they were covering up. She cannot continue to work at Jacobson Moore.
Yeah, we kind of came up with a possible solution. I don't know if it's what they'll do.
Well, it would be good to see, Olympia deciding as well that she can't get involved and she doesn't want to get involved in this immoral work because she'd rather do something more worthwhile. And her and Madeline set up their own firm, perhaps taking Billy and Sarah with, and perhaps we'll have Matlock and Lawrence, or Lawrence and Matlock and Associates or whatever.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? And then it'll maybe be almost more like the old Matlock.
Yes.
Where do you stand on the Billy, Sarah, Simone triangle?
Yeah, well, I think we've discussed that. I mean, I think Billy's been... at first, he had reason to be upset, but again, grown-ups, you need to let it pass. You need to forgive, you need to forget. He was a dick this episode, but he did make it up. However, he might, again, make a mess of it by...
getting involved with someone who's clearly
hot.
Wronging.
He should definitely just not tell Sarah. That's what I would do. I would see her, but not rub her nose in it.
Someone will use it, though. If Billy's out with her, she'll be rubbing it in Sarah's face.
Take the chance.
Okay, main case in this episode was a marital dispute between Paloma de Leon, represented by Olympia, and Bruno Cortez, eventually represented by Julian. Ostensibly about finance, the true issue was about residence of and contact with their son Tenoch. And when Julian and Olympia reconcile over their own differences, they then guide their clients to reach an amicable settlement and no ruling is required.
Trivia.
Yep.
20th of February 2025 was the original air date. Familiar director Kat Coiro back with her 5th of 6 episodes. A new writer, however, David Ogler, not Ogler, hopefully, Ogler.
Well,
he's been a staff writer on 12 other Matlock episodes. This is his first full credit. He has also written for FDR and SWAT. And we also had Henna Sikander in the writing duties as well.
okay.
We spoke about her in Belly of the Beast. Paloma was played by Greta Quisp. You may have seen her in New Amsterdam, The Blacklist, Manifest, Succession, or Bunny and Ty, amongst other shows. Bruno Cortez was played by Mauricio Mendoza, born on 28th of December 1969. He has appeared in Final Vow, Reboot, The Rookie, Curb Your Enthusiasm, The Unknown, Hitman, Criminal Minds, Hacienda Heights, Resurrection Boulevard, The Blow, and goes back to Babylon 5.
He looks like he's straight out of Days of Our Lives.
Yeah. He's married to actor Jennifer Burns. That's Jennifer. That's like Jennifer with a Y.
Jennifer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ellie. That's the second time I've seen her, I think.
Is it?
Yeah. Played by Marnie Carpenter, born on the 30th of July 1990 in Rhode Island. Her most high-profile role would be in Clarice, which is a spin-off of Silence of the Lambs,
Yep.
as well as NCIS, The Rookie, NCIS, Los Angeles, Good Girls, and Criminal Minds. Simone, the lovely Simone, played by Andrea Londo. She has starred in or appeared in Narcos, Superfly, The Winchesters, and Snowfall. She's known as a border child, born in San Diego but lived in Mexico and crossed the border every day to go to school. So
That's
back and forth.
interesting.
Yeah. Finally, Lucius, the big man.
Yep.
Sale Taylor. He has been in Graves, The Night Shift, Brave, CSI Vegas, and Waco, The Aftermath. But we have seen him before.
We have?
Yes.
Where did we see him?
Night Shift, not the show that I just mentioned, but he played a moustache trucker in the Poker Face episode.
There we go.
That was the Subway one, if you remember. I think it was the second
Oh,
one.
the Subway restaurant, something.
Yeah.
Yes.
A little bit of trivia. Do you have anything?
No, that's all I've got.
One bit. I mentioned Frick and Frack.
Okay.
They were a Swiss ice skating duo known for their comedic routines, who were extraordinarily famous in the 1930s, so much so that their names have lived on, as we see, in popular culture.
That's quite good. Next week, Alfie visits Jacobson Moor and the team take a trip to a sorority to gather information in pre-game.
Until then,
cheerio.
Bye-bye.